All right, everyone. I am live and I'm keeping the hot tea over here in the corner away from the keyboard. Those of you know, those of you who follow me regularly, you know I spilled the tea on my keyboard on a Thursday. And fortunately, this computer is still working. It took it a couple of hours to recover. And that's fortunate because, based upon the upstate New York weather, I can't get to Buffalo right now. So I've been keeping myself busy with my YouTubing and my writing. Let me make an announcement over on my original channel, and then we'll hop in. I have a special guest, and I want to respect his time, especially this first time around. I want to thank everyone who liked the video in advance. I see some folks left likes immediately after I set the stream up, so I take that to mean that folks either know Dr. Dix or folks really want to hear about automation. Okay, so let me see. Keep this short. Okay, that's been shared over there. Let me go back. All right, everyone. Hey, if you have questions, this is going to be a Q&A. I don't think I'm going to do a panel. Me and Dr. Dix didn't talk about doing that, so I want to keep this as a Q&A, mano y mano. So if you have questions or comments there in the chat, Dr. Dix is going to share some very, very valuable information with us today. So make sure you let yourselves be known. If you have questions, let us know. So I'm going to play my intro and then I'll see you on the other side. Then we'll jump in. All right, everyone. Happy holidays and welcome back to Big Discussions 76, Science and Technology. I have a an important guest today, Dr. Patrick Dick. He's going to talk to us about automation. There's been a lot of, since I've come to YouTube, I've been hearing a lot about automation, automation, automation. Automation is going to change the economy. Automation is going to change the world. Automation is going to change the workforce. It's going to change everything. Um, it's going to change our entire way of life. Okay. So I have some questions for Dr. Dix. I'm going to bring him up, but I want to give you guys a fun intro here into this topic. So, my background is in the biological sciences. I have a PhD in pharmacology with additional training in toxicology. So, when did I first start thinking about automation? When did I first start to ponder that word and conceive of that word and what that actually meant? Actually, this will surprise some of you all, but it goes back to 1984. And what happened in 1984? Well, there was a movie released, Star Trek 3, The Search for Spock. Okay. Uh, for those of you who don't know, uh, I grew up on Star Trek. So Star Trek, I mean, even with all the aliens and stuff, it was about science and technology as well. And in Star Trek 3, that movie was all about science, the biological sciences, the technologies, all of it. It was all in that movie. So there's a key scene, there's a key sequence in that movie, Star Trek 3, The Search for Spock. Basically, Mr. Spock died in Star Trek 2, and they want to find his body and reunite it with his soul. So part of what they have to do in that movie is Kirk and his buddies, well, Kirk and crew, they have to steal the Enterprise, or should I say, they set out to steal the Enterprise. Okay, Starfleet wants, after the battering that the Enterprise took in Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan, Starfleet decided we're going to decommission the Enterprise and scrap it. So Kirk and the key crew members, they conspire and they decide, okay, we're going to steal the Enterprise and we're going to go find Mr. Spock's body and reunite it with his soul. So in a key scene, they gather, five of them gather on the bridge of the Enterprise, unbeknownst to Starfleet. And Mr. Spock, I'm sorry, Commander Scott and Mr. Chekhov are there. And then Kirk and Sulu and Dr. McCoy show up. They beam onto the ship. And Mr. Scott tells Kirk, she's fully automated, sir, as promised. A chimpanzee and two trainees could run her. Okay, I'll say that again. She's fully automated as promised. A chimpanzee and two trainees could run her. And Kirk says, well, I'll try not to take that personally, Mr. Scott, and he laughs. But what's the significance of that statement? She's fully automated, sir. A chimpanzee and two trainees could run her. Okay. So in other words, think about a naval ship, except in space. So the Enterprise was this big, vast starship with a bridge and engineering and a medical deck and living quarters and environmental controls and all these different things. So what Mr. Scott was saying was that the way I've set the Enterprise up, we can run this all from the bridge, and we don't need the entire crew to run the ship. So that was the significance of what he was saying, and that's the significance of what he did. And so they go ahead, they steal the ship, and then they go and they try to retrieve Spock's body, which they do. But then something else interesting happens. Well, they run into the Klingons, and they have a battle with the Klingons above the Genesis planet. And in this iconic sequence, the Enterprise gets off the first two shots, and then the Klingon bird of prey fires a photon torpedo at the Enterprise, and they knock out the automation center. So in that sequence, the Enterprise gets off its two shots, and then Kirk tells Chekhov, precautionary, raise the shields. Chekhov says the shields are not responsive; they're not working. Scotty says, The bureauration systems have overloaded. I didn't expect to take us into combat. And then once the torpedo hits the Enterprise, Scotty says, they've knocked out the automation center. I've got no control over anything. So at that point, the ship is a sitting duck. Now, what they also go ahead and do, which I didn't like, is that Kirk and crew, once the Enterprise is disabled, Kirk figures that the only option we have left is to destroy the ship. So they start talking to the ship's computer and they activate the self-destruct. And I realized when I was in the lead up to the show, in numerous movies and TV shows, they had threatened that before, but this was the first time they actually blew the ship up. But they did that by automation. They entered the destruct sequence. They left themselves enough time to beam down to the Genesis planet, and then they blew up my favorite starship. I was a little bit heartbroken over that for a while. But I'm saying this to say that for me, this concept was introduced accidentally. I mean, I watched this movie. I had the VHS, so I watched this movie probably thousands of times, but that concept was first introduced to me back in 1984. Now, fast forward, and then I'm going to bring Dr. Dix up right now. Fast forward to graduate school. Again, my backgrounds are in pharmacology and toxicology. We were using automation in my research lab. This is a high performance liquid chromatography device, or an HPLC. And what this device, along with a mass spectrometer, in general, what they're designed to do is they're designed to analyze samples. So what we were able to do with this device is we were able to generate samples from our biological experiments, and we were able to program the device so it would run overnight, and we were able to program it to inject X amount of samples over that period of time. So when we came in the morning, our data would be sitting there for us. So what's the advantage of that? We could set the device up, run it, and then we could go home, we could go to the movies, we could go to sleep, we could go on a date, whatever, and the device would run when we weren't there. So just like with the Enterprise, the device would run without people, or without as many people. So one last point before I bring Dr. Dix up, going back to Star Trek, I think one of the caveats of automation is that the people setting it up, they have to think things out they have to think things out to their completion, because just like with the Enterprise, I think you have to think about what happens if something goes wrong, if something breaks, or if the system stops working. And then the question, I think me and Dr. Dix will get to this, is whether or not you will always need a human touch in there somewhere, or will we get to a place where we're just completely computerized and we don't need the human touch at all. So everyone, thank you for still being here. I'm going to bring Dr. Dix up. I don't have a super chat or AdSense over here. If you want to make a donation during this discussion, this information is here. My Cash App and PayPal. So with that, I'm going to bring Dr. Dix up, and we're going to start this Q&A. Dr. Dix, how you doing?
Hey, how you doing?
Good. All right.
I'm doing
Sorry
well.
to keep you so long.
No, it's fine.
Okay. Well, welcome. Happy holidays. Let's see. So I have some questions here. I sent them to you. So let's jump right in. Well, I first saw you on Erica Williams' platform. So I need to give a digital bow to Erica Williams, because that's how I discovered you. And when I saw you all talking, you guys have talked regularly about automation. I said, I got to try to get Dr. Dix over on my channel, because it's a STEM channel. So I want to acknowledge her for that. Just briefly, how did you two link up?
Well, first of all, I want to say thank you for having me on the channel, and any place that I could share my knowledge, I am excited to do it. I think in 2020, I remember seeing Erica commenting on O'Shea Duke Jackson's channel, which I did a bunch of streams with him back in 2020.
Okay.
And I follow. Yeah, I was on the Hall of Game podcast. There are some podcasts from 2020 we were doing, because he is one of the first people I reached out to in March or April of 2020, and I did a show with him about automation, how it would affect Black men. Are you prepared for automation? I think that's the exact title of it. And then I remember seeing Erica write a comment, and I clicked on her channel, and I sent Erica an email saying I would like to come on your channel and talk about automation. That was in 2020, I believe, the end or the first part of 2021. So Erica and I have been doing streams since January or February of 2021. And the rest is history, and that's how I know Erica Williams.
Okay. Yeah, you guys drop some fire when you guys link up, and I don't. The audience seems to take it well, but a lot of folks don't know that this is going on. So I know for some folks, it's like, oh my God, like what are they talking about? And I didn't know all this was happening. Okay.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. So just briefly, talk about your background. Where are you from?
I am from South Carolina, a small rural town called Williston. I still live here. I was raised on a farm. When I was younger, grew up on the farm. Then we moved to the city, and my dad had a paint and body business because my dad got drafted to the Vietnam War, and he met my mom, and he started that, and we started to put cars together, my brother and I. So the engineering and the aspect of putting things together, seeing how they work, has always been a foundation of my life. I graduated high school 2002, went to South Carolina State, earned a Bachelor of Science in Computer Science, went to Webster University, earned an MBA with an emphasis in Information Technology Management, and I recently finished at Robert Morris University in Pittsburgh in May 2020, doing my dissertation, which is entitled The Automation of Manufacturing and the Potential Effects on Rural Communities in South Carolina.
Okay. All right. You're from South Carolina, so you're familiar with Johnson C. Smith University. I went to J.C. Smith.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, okay. So we're going to come back to your educational path. You just laid that out. Okay. So based upon where you come from, how did you get interested in computers and the technologies? Did you have an aptitude for these things at an early age, or how did that unfold for you?
I have been around computers for about 25 years, since I was 12, which will be 1996, 97. My parents bought my sister a computer. I'll never forget it. It was a Tandy, Tandy, a big white computer with the 3.5-inch floppy. And I remember playing Jeopardy on it. Some of the people may not remember the floppy drives were the one that had the magnetic slide on it, and it would get stuck in the actual drive, and you would have to take a paper clip, and sometimes have to pop it out. So I remember having that computer and playing Jeopardy on it. And where we lived at, we had dial-up internet. That is so long ago. So I remember just being around computers and being infatuated with them. And, as I said earlier about the vehicles, putting them together, just that aspect of seeing how computers and seeing how engineering aspects work together. So that's how I got introduced to computers, and just, learning how things work together.
Okay. Now, were you particularly talented with mathematics, in K through 12, or because for those fields, those are gateway knowledge sets and skill sets, right? The math, the calculus, the pre-cal, those things. Were you good at those subjects at an early age?
When I was little, I was good at math. As I got older, I'm going to be honest, I did not take school that serious. And a lot of people may not know, I barely graduated high school. I graduated at the bottom of my class.
Okay.
So it was more of a work ethic and being taught how things work on the outside besides school. So just the work ethic is really really helped my life progress. And that's how I just really put everything together, just knowing how to think analytically and technically about things.
Okay. Well, it's funny you should say that, because in high school, I wasn't the best student either. I mean, people see the end result, but in high school, I didn't understand academics. I didn't understand how to focus and
Mm-hmm.
be on the honor roll every term. That
Mm-hmm.
came later in college. Okay. Now, when you got to South Carolina State, is that where the turnaround for you was, or was it in graduate school, or?
It was a turnaround. Realizing this is one of the sharings I share with people, and I tell people to this day, high school does not really matter. Once you get a high school diploma, the game of life is 0-0. You can have a GED and go be a neurosurgeon. So the first 12 years of school does not really matter in the picture of life. And people can debate me, you know, that's how I feel about it. And you'll notice in life that you can turn your life around. You know, you were pretty much in the same boat I was in, you know, not academically as strong, but just didn't really apply yourself. So when I got to SC State, it was a different work ethic, you know, just carrying myself, just pushing forward, studying. And as I always go back to the work ethic, there were people smarter than me, but I just knew how to outwork people and how to be smarter. And just the better ethic really, really helped me there.
Okay. Now, and I'll throw this little caveat in there. In our country, yeah, I think you can survive if you don't distinguish yourself in K through 12. Certainly it helps, but in our country, you can still recover.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard that in other countries, it doesn't work that way. I've heard,
Mm-hmm.
because in my postdoc lab, most of my coworkers were Chinese. So I was one of two Americans in the lab, and they told me, one coworker told me that in China, if you don't distinguish yourself early, you're going to go work in the factory for the rest of your life. So just a little interesting factoid for everybody there. Okay, so let's go back. So at South Carolina State, you studied computer programming?
Computer science. Yeah, I did programming, Java, C++, C#, SQL. We did some old programming called LC3. I remember doing push and pop. I remember working up in the Sun Lab, Sun Systems, if anybody's familiar with that. Those are the languages that we really covered. That was about 12 years ago when I went to school there, from 2006 to 2010. Yeah.
The computer science.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And the programming is a part, it fits into computer science, right? It's not one thing all itself. Okay. So from South Carolina State, you went to?
I went to Webster University. I got my first job out of college, a programming job. I got fired from it. I got fired from my first job in August 2011. One of the best things to ever happen. So
why?
It took my life on a whole new trajectory. And I tell folks, I look back on those moments. I got fired, and it took me about a year to get another job. I started grad school 5 months after I got graduated college. So I went right to Webster in Columbia, South Carolina. I was driving one night a week. So I was already in graduate school. Getting fired just really took my job in a new trajectory. I can't get my words out. Trajectory. And it sat me down, and I was able to really refine myself, because I know I went on about 200 interviews, if not more. I remember sending my resume to numerous jobs, getting no's, going to interviews, and I would discover that I did not learn how to interview. So what happened going on those interviews really showed me how to interview. It built my confidence, and going through moments of clarity like that really make you a better person, because there was nobody that could have got me out of those situations but myself. So I applied, and I got a DOD contractor job. I met a guy on LinkedIn. I still know the guy to this day. I connected with him. I got on LinkedIn, as a matter of fact, in 2012 because of that. And I sent my resume. I remember taking a photo with my phone with my backdrop against the wall. And I remember connecting with him. And it was a DOD contractor, which ultimately gave me a clearance. I went and got a top secret clearance. Back 10 years ago, it only took 90 days. So it was very fast, and I was able to design a lot of cool stuff for the U.S. Special Forces and the air defense systems, a lot of the training. So without getting fired, I wouldn't have had the opportunity to discover that.
Okay, so it sounds like you went federal for a little while.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. So you went to Webster, and
Yep.
then you went federal, and then you started working on your PhD.
Yes.
At,
I was doing grad school and working for the DoD contractor, because the contractor was in Augusta, Georgia. I would drive one night a week up to Columbia, and they would have classes at Fort Jackson or on Fort Gordon, because I did the MBA with the emphasis. So once you took all the technology classes, you had to finish up in Columbia, where it actually started. So I was driving, sitting in class one night a week, 4 hours, driving back on dark roads, getting back up, going to work, doing all the homework, and I still graduated with a great GPA. And I graduated in May 2014. It took 3.5 years because a regular MBA is 36. So this is how I looked at it. I said, if I'm going to go to school, I might as well do the whole full thing and get the MBA with the emphasis. See, most of the people graduated with me did the Masters of Arts. I said, why would I shortchange myself? I'm already here. I might as well get the whole thing. So that's why I did the 51 credits, and that's why I did my MBA with an emphasis in information technology management.
So you did you continue with the computer science, yes, but you also got an MBA. You got the business training with it.
Yep.
Okay, and well, that must have been so you could go into business for yourself at some point, right?
Yeah, or if I got a high level position, I would know the technical and the business sides of it, just thinking down the line.
Okay, I'm asking these questions so that so we can empower young people behind us.
Yeah,
to do some similar things.
It was having vision to think ahead. I'll tell everybody, nobody ever told me what to major to in college. It was getting out there saying, I'm great with this. And just because, my past didn't really, graduating high school and at the bottom didn't matter, that was far in between. Now I can restart life and do better. So I tell that to anybody listening to the video. It doesn't matter about high school. It's all about now. Nobody cares about when I graduated high school 20 years ago, I was at the bottom. That doesn't matter. They care about December, the 26th? They care about December the 26th, 2022. And to the parents, I've even said to them, because I teach school too, I get into that. I said, you're setting your child up for failure. Just because your child is successful in high school doesn't mean they're going to be successful in life. There is no book to life. Your kid can regurgitate information. This is real out here. And you're letting your kid think, oh, I'm a special. You're not special. It's 330 other million people out here. Good luck to you. So it's just having, like I said, a superior work ethic and just believing in yourself and thinking. And I never let people really tell me no. The only person I'm proving something to is to the person in the mirror. I don't really care what people think. I don't care about their feelings. You can either get with it or you can get ran over by it. That's just my attitude towards people in life. I'm going to do what I set out to do. And at the end of the day, just like I tell anyone, when they put somebody in a casket, there's only one person going in that casket. You better do what suits you best. Don't worry about what other people think.
Okay. If you're just coming in, please hit that like button. The likes help with the engagement and they are free. Also, please subscribe if you haven't. So it sounds like like a lot of us of color, of African descent, you've launched off into an area that your family doesn't have a background in. Is that correct?
No, not many.
No.
Nope, not at all. Besides the agriculture, my family grew up with agriculture, but not into the tech space.
So that means that I'm thinking you probably had a mentor or two along the way. Is that right? Mm-mm. Or you paved this path all by yourself?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah. Wow. Okay. Okay. So your take us back one more time to your PhD training. What did that entail? And what was the topic?
The automation of manufacturing, the potential effects on rural communities in South Carolina. See, there's a PhD. I have what they call a doctorate of science. So it's the same thing. So I did a doctorate of science. And to the listeners out there, they have doctorate of education, doctor of engineering. At the end of the day, it's a doctorate degree. So people will get it misconstrued. I've never had any problems with it. And I like to be different anyway. So that, I'm weird like that. So I like to be different. But I decided in the program, I remember I had a Black professor that told me, Mr. Dix, if you decide to get your PhD, well, he said at that time, I didn't know it was a doctorate of science. He said, you decide to get your doctorate degree, you should go to Robert Morris. He got his from there. So this was in 2014. I remember reaching back out to him in 2016 saying, I'm ready to do this. He said, you sure? I said, yes. He wrote my letter of recommendation. I had to get 3 more. I did the application. That was November 2016. I got accepted January 2017. I had an idea of what I was going to write my dissertation about in the spring of 2017 because I started to gather books on it, about automation. And I started the program in August 2017. And the thing about my program, you had to actually go sit in class. So I flew to Pittsburgh 23 times between 2017 and 2020. You had to go sit in class 1 weekend every month. And you had to do 2 weeks a year for your residency. The only 2 times we missed was because of the pandemic. We had class online in March 2020 and April 2020. And we graduated in May 2020. So I had to do everything via the internet, defending my dissertation and all.
Okay. So yeah, I'm not as familiar with the Doctor of Science track. I will tell you that in my current 9 to 5, I do have a colleague, and she came in and she leapt over me to get into a senior scientist position. So a Doctor of Science, a PhD, whatever, it's all about your talent and your skills.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So what? It sounds like you were interested in automation from the agricultural perspective. So how did you get interested in automation?
Just seeing the world around us. When we had the farm in the 60s and 70s, back then, I remember being a young kid looking at the tractors and the components, and you would have to manually do everything. But as seeing with the power tools and stuff, that was a form, the pneumatic. If anyone hears the word pneumatic, that means air, versus we were turning wrenches. I did that my whole life, turn wrenches. And then we have impacts and power tools. So that was starting to automate to where you don't have to manually turn stuff. And when it came to the program, I said, wow, the world is really changing. And I just looked at things. And at that time, I remember stores having like maybe 1 self-checkout aisle. But when I started to read up on it, I said, wow, though they're going to automate everything in the world. And that's when it started to click in 2017. And I came in with that topic. And, once you do a research, as you have to get an advisor and you have to get a committee. And they made me perform the topic several times in class. They said, you got to funnel it down. And doing the research, I wanted to do the Southeast. They said, you're not going to have enough time to do the Southeast. And I said, I got it. Let's do South Carolina, because South Carolina is a big manufacturing state. I'm here. I was born here. And that's where the premise came from, to do the research on the state of South Carolina.
So South Carolina was a manufacturing state.
Yeah, the southeastern United States is like the hub for manufacturing. But since I'm in South Carolina, and it's 46 rural counties, manufacturing is very big in South Carolina.
Okay.
Yeah.
For my 9 to 5, I'm careful to talk about that here on social media, but I'm familiar with the agricultural space. I'm going to show a picture here. This will probably get you a little excited, but I do know that technologies are being incorporated into agriculture.
Oh yeah,
drones, GPS, all that.
Yeah, the sprayers
so
right there.
Yeah. So what kinds of things did you? Well, what did your research show, or what kinds of trends did you start to see?
Artificial intelligence and machine learning. I initially started off with the 3 industrial revolutions. I talked about the first, the second, and the third. We are in what we call now the 4th industrial revolution. And I discovered that we were in what we call the digital age. Everything is digitalized. And a lot of people don't know, the United States has not made any significant technology advancements since like the 80s and 90s. The internet is only 30 years old. If you think about it, it was created in the 70s through the DARPA project in the United States. The military gave access to the internet to the regular people, but the HTTP by Harper's Lee was like in the early 1990 or 91 email. So the internet might only be 30 to 32 years old, where you can just go from page to page to page. And I discovered that, and I also discovered that along with that kind of technology, the world has to advance, and we're at a standstill right now. Yeah, my bad. ARPANET, not DARPA. I was thinking about the DARPA project. Yeah. And the world has to advance. So the fourth industrial revolution, we have to digitalize everything from doing the research. That's what I was uncovering, that machine learning, artificial intelligence. They were talking about this in 1982. When I was gathering articles, I found an old article from May 26, 1982, to where they were talking about from the GAO, which is the Government Accountability Office. They were talking about how automation in 1982 was going to affect people back then, how it was going to eliminate jobs. So I uncovered those aspects of it. The other aspects of it is it's going to really eliminate jobs. And manufacturing was one of the biggest things, because manufacturing and administrative jobs are very, very repetitive. You know, you have people, as you know, what they call work on a line. They do this every day. So if a robot or artificial intelligence, you can put sensors on it to say, this is all you're doing every day. It's very easy to put sensors and a camera there and copy it and get a robot on to do. So it was finding out a way. The companies are finding out a way to do less with more. And the research really uncovered how rural areas like I'm from, where people don't have a skill set, they don't have a transferable skill set. Most people do not even have a high school diploma. And the research also uncovered that most people live below the federal poverty line.
Okay, give me 1 second here. I want to show something. I just want to take a look before I present it. Okay. Okay, yeah, I'm going to show this. So to kind of corroborate and back up with what Dr. Dix just said, you know, when the pandemic first started, there was a lot of I had just started this channel, and there were a lot of conspiracy theories flying around, and one of them was that 5G was causing the pandemic. So I did some research. I did some research, and I found this website talking about 5G, and piggybacking off what Dr. Dix just said. This is entitled, what are the differences between the previous generations of mobile networks and 5G? So 1G, that was starting back in the 1980s. So they were all this stuff started becoming available to us gradually, but it sounds like they were conceiving of these things and building these things way back in the early 1980s. Yeah.
So along with that, you know, everything now, you know, has let's see how we say it. Everything now has a MAC address or IP address. So to people out there, they'll know what IP4 is, Internet Protocol 4. So now we have to go to IP6 because we're running out of MAC addresses. And that's another advancement, you know, just along with technology. Everything now is connected to the IoT, the Internet of Things. Everything now has everything in some shape, form, or fashion has the ability to be on the internet. So I know that's one of the questions you were going to ask about, but I just want to throw that out there to the listeners.
Okay, so you said we're running out of MAC addresses. What does that mean?
MAC or IP?
IP.
If you do IP6, the addresses for security. Let me see. Oh crap! I hate to do this during the thing. IP4. Okay. Yeah, IP6, because I usually talk about it in my classes.
I'm in the biological sciences, so I don't know.
Yeah, the IP4 is a 32-bit address where IP6 is 128-bit hexadecimal. So that is what we're running into now. We're running out of addresses. So it's just like the same with license plates. There's so many cars on the internet, not the internet. There are so many cars on the road. Remember, car license plates used to be 7 digits. You notice now they're shrinking them down to 3, to 2, to 4, to just, yeah, we're running out of IP addresses. Everything is so digital.
In the IP address, that refers to your specific network.
Yeah, you're a computer. Like if I know you're like at 192, say mine was like 192.55. My bad, that's a subnet one. I'm just trying to do 192.123.4.7. That's the IP address of your phone or your computer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and everything has an IP address. It's connected to the internet.
Okay. Sir Anthony, thank you for the generous Cash App. Anyone else, if you want to donate something, I'm learning a lot here. I'm probably asking some pretty beginner level questions for some of the guys there in the chat. But my Cash App and PayPal are here. Okay. So let's talk about, we know it's infiltrated, automation has started to infiltrate agriculture.
Mm-hmm.
Where else? Well, and I talked about how in the biomedical sciences, pretty much everything now is computerized, and you can set devices up to run when you're not there. What else are you seeing? Where else is it infiltrating? I have the McDonald's article you shared on LinkedIn queued up, by the way.
It's impacting the self-driving cars, the self-checkout aisles. It's impacting warehouses because I shared an article, I think it was some weeks ago, about how Walmart, their distribution centers, they're making them full automated. And off the top of my head, those are the main ones. Manufacturing. It's even affecting healthcare. And those are just some of the fields to name. It's impacting everything. Those are the main ones: manufacturing, self-service. You have your Amazon. You have your driverless cars. Those are the big ones that I focus on because, and administrative jobs. You know, you have a lot of people, a lot of women that work administrative jobs. That's automation. There are a lot of fields that are going to be eliminated.
Okay. So you shared this on LinkedIn.
Mm-hmm.
I kept a copy for myself. So this is entitled "McDonald's Tests Automated Restaurant in North Texas." This will be so strange. I mean, because you're used to, number one, having a well, looking at the picture, I think I see a human in there, but you're used to having humans there behind the counter. Well, I'm used to having humans there behind the counter, and I'm used to being able to go in and sit down and spread out in the restaurant. But it looks like this is just a little go in and out. Just get what you need and just get out.
Yeah. Or to the drive-through. Basically, they might, for right now, you might have 3 people in the back. You can't enter the McDonald's. So you order through the speaker, the drive-through, everything is sent to you via car. So you're talking about, if it's a McDonald's to where they don't need people to come in, you're talking about 4 or 5 people running on McDonald's. If that, yeah, I'd say maybe 4 or 5. Yep.
Okay. All right, everyone, I'll go ahead.
Oh, it's already with gas stations. Just think about, eventually gas stations are not going to have tenants to them. They're already getting to that because people just need gas. You know, you can go buy your alcohol. There are already Amazon stores in New York, I think, to where you walk in, there's no cashier. You just scan and pay and leave. And do you think minimum wage is increasing? Yes, I wrote about that in my research. The minimum wage increase is calling for automation because there's a place in California, I forgot the name of the restaurant. They say because I don't know if people know, the first of the year, a lot of places have to adjust their minimum wage. So what's happening? I forgot the name of the company over in California, They're focusing on, hey, we'll automate it versus paying you minimum wage. Someone, you would have to think, if they have to pay 18 people, if they had to pay 10 people $18 an hour, that's $180 an hour. And 180 times 40, do my math, 180 times 40, that's $7,200 in a week. They have to already pay people. So what they'll say, we do 7,200 times 4 in a month, that's 28,800 times 12. In a year, that's $345,600. They'll say, okay, well, we're about to invest in some technology that can save us $300 and some $1,000 a year. That's how you do the math to say, if we cut out 10 people, we have for free $350,000. Now that's not counting what they would have to pay in benefits, Social Security, etc. Yep. So if you do that twice, say you just come up with $700,000, say the company has the disposable income to say, we'll take $1 million and invest it in automation. We'll get it back in 2 or 3 years. And then once you created the technology or you work with it, you just license it to other places and say, we'll license it and we'll charge you what they call a software license agreement. That's what they do with computers. Just say, you're going to pay us a licensing fee to use our technology. Say you're a franchisee at McDonald's, you got to come up with the $50,000 to use the stuff every year. So if there's, what is that? I think 18,000 McDonald's. Say if each McDonald's automates a good bit times $30,000, that's about $540 million in fees, licensing fees they get from franchisees. That's just a rough estimation. That's how stuff could go. They say you have to put this in, but it's the franchise owner. You got to pay the license agreement to keep the software running go and to keep people to troubleshoot it.
Okay, but they will also need, if you're talking about running a restaurant, mostly without people, you're going to need robotics back there too, right? You're going to need devices that can interface with the software. So that's going to create the need for new devices.
Yeah, that'll create the need and somebody programs it. But once you program it and beta test it at one place and fine tune it, and this is the thing, you can push all the updates via the internet, via a server to all the other robots. You can have a team, let's say, and I'm South Carolina, I can have 10 teams that go around and service these robots and service the place. You could have a team of 10 people for each area. You have 10 people that service it and rotate to service that. You're still saving money because you're not paying people. You have minimum staff costs and you have minimum overhead. So it's going to create, yes, they're going to tear up, but they're going to create these things to where they have less moving parts as possible. And the less parts you have, the less service stuff the less parts you have, the less things you have to service. And you don't need somebody to actually go there with a laptop to troubleshoot it. If you got to do a software update, you push it to it. If they're scheduled to close at 12 o'clock at night, you just say, we're going to do it in the middle of the night. That way, if something happens, we can revert it back. And you just do a batch here and there to see, does it work here? Does it work there? Yeah, that's how that could go.
Well, that sounds like what you and Erica talked about when you guys discussed, I believe you guys were discussing the gas company and in terms of turning people's gas on and off. Instead of going to the house and having to fight with somebody, you just sit in your office and hit the button, boom.
Oh yeah, we were talking about the electric company because people that used to go cut people's electricity off have gotten killed because you're actually physically going now. They use I forgot the name of the technology. It's some kind of receiver. It's some kind of it's a receiver. I can't think of the name of it, but they can remotely turn your power on, turn it off. Because, when you used to see a truck pull up, they used to have people actually go and check the meters. Now everything is computerized. They used to have meter check. Oh, that's a good form of automation. You got rid of people that went around reading meters, which is a very low skill job. We don't need that anymore because I could tell you somebody's meter only used this amount of kilowatts. Oh, well, we don't need you anymore. Well, what can I do? Well, you had a low level job. We converted that to digital technology. That's a perfect example of automation. Even the water meters used to have meter readers. They would pay $10 an hour. We don't need a meter reader. We need you to go around to put the device on it to tell us what's the actual reading, because you can misread somebody's water meter or do it higher or lower depending on if you don't like them.
Okay. Everyone, I dropped that McDonald's article in the chat right there. Miss KP Bailey, always good to see you. She says, this is fascinating and a bit scary at the same time. You know, Dr. Dix, when you were talking, you know, there are some things going on with the population right now as well. I was thinking, you know what? With all this stuff, you may not need as many people.
You don't.
Well, you won't need as many people.
You don't at all.
So society will be able to go along with fewer people.
Well, there's an article from 2017. Y'all can Google this. It's called The Rise of the Useless Classes. We're going to have useless people in society. I'm going to go ahead and say it. I've said it on Erica's channel. Most people are already useless. They really serve no purpose to the world. They really don't. And you're going to have more people. So the thing is, what do you do with these useless people? So in other words, entry level, no, not entry level. No, white collar jobs, lawyers. Oh, there are high paid white collar jobs too, like accountants, lawyers, that are going to also feel this too. Not the low level people, high up people are going to feel this too. So everybody is going to feel this. No group, no race, or no gender is going to escape this. So you're going to have useless people. And the thing is, what do you do with them? I know that's a tough term, but there's an article from February 2017. The title of it is The Rise of the Useless Class. Everybody can go Google that and read it. The Rise of the Useless Class.
Okay, I'm going to put that on the pile. I'm going to read some more of these comments, and then we're going to get to how to stay useful.
Mm-hmm.
Ms. KP Bailey says, yes, that's what's happening in California. One person is watching the 10 self-service kiosks. Salchi says, a cost analysis. Aquateki says, one-time installation cost plus maintenance is cheaper than salaries plus benefits. Probably, yeah, especially with people living longer. That would be a huge cost eliminated.
Yep.
Salchi says, this is why UBI is the government's solution. Professor Black Ops says UBI facts at Salchi, smart meters. Professor Black Ops says, do you believe artificial intelligence, machine learning, and robotics are going to take 30 million jobs in 20 years?
I think it's going to be faster than that, because the technology is moving so much faster. It's moving faster and faster. It's not going to even take 20 years. And I think it's going to be more than 30 million jobs. Just think about all the people, you know, that work in an administrative job, male or female. Just think about all the people. I'll probably talk about this on Erica's channel tomorrow night too. I was thinking about the topic to send her. Just think about all the people. Y'all know that are what we call the low hanging fruit. Getting by is very old. You're not going to be able to get by anymore. You're not going to be able to have a minimal skill set and make money. You're going to really have to work, or you're going to think. You're either going to work with your hands or you're going to work with your brain. And society, that's the way we're going. So everybody that wants to be a TikTok influencer, social media influencer, these OnlyFans pages, all of that stuff is going to slowly come to an end. Real talent is going to really have to shine through. And we are finding out many people do not have real talent. They talk it, but they can't put it down. You know, having a plan for life is good, but if you can't execute it, means nothing. And right now, with the upcoming financial stuff that's going on in the world, a lot of people are going to get tested. Just think about, we had this Arctic wave that came through recently. Well, this past weekend. Think about all the people whose light bill is going to be extremely high. 2, think about some of the people that had pipes bust in their house. 3, think about the people that thought they could do it on their own, but they can't. We have a lot of people that were not prepared for that. And just think about how people don't have the resources. You can't wing life anymore. Those days are over. I don't know any other way to say it. I'll be more raw with people tomorrow, but we're a lot of people are not going to make it in the future. There's no other way to say it. Many people are not going to make it. And the people that have the skill sets and have the knowledge, you're going to have to figure out, do you save yourself or save other people? But the thing is, people still have time to prepare for this stuff. It hasn't become widespread, but once this stuff becomes widespread, the game is over.
Okay, so Dr. Dix, let's go back. So the name of the article is The Rise of the Useless Class?
Yep, The Rise of the Useless Class. Yep, it's from February 2017.
So you mentioned real skills. What would you consider a real skill?
Like blue collar, HVAC. I always talk about like blue collar jobs. People make a lot of money. Think about the pipes busting in these buildings. I saw them in Atlanta. That's not a technology fix. Somebody has to take that drywall. They have to, especially if there's water and electricity. An electrician has to cut the water off. Somebody has to be a plumber. Somebody has to redo the drywall. I even post that on my Instagram. Those blue collar people are really about to make a lot of money because you have to have water running in a building. You have to have electricity. You have to have plumbing. Being able to think, oh, you were going to say something? Yeah.
I was going to say, so basically all the people that society is kind of kick sand in their face, all those people who kept working during the pandemic, who kept all of us alive and working, those are the people with the real skills.
Yeah. The blue collar field, those people, male or female, are going to make a lot of money because, I mean, that stuff has to be fixed. And the real skills too are technical and analytical, being able to think through problems, not guessing through life. Basically, come up with a plan and learn how to execute it. Male or female, those are your real skills, analytical or technical. Being able to have vision. Vision can save your life. A lot of people do not have vision. They're gonna fall by the wayside. And the people that really are not going to make it are the people you can't tell anything to. They know what they're doing. And as you've been watching Erica and I talk, the average American only makes about $40,000 a year. You can't make it off $40,000 a year in this new world. If your rent is $2,000, that already leaves you, if you're bringing home about $3,600, $39,000, let's just say you make $48,000. That's $4,000. So that only leaves you $2,000 a month for groceries, food, insurance, car payment, municipals. How are you going to make it? And that's why she and I encourage people to try to get a different skill set or to have different income. You can't make it off one income anymore. The hot girl summers, the hot boy summers, whatever y'all want to call it. A lot of this stuff is not slowly, it's over. So, yeah.
Okay, everyone, once again, if you want to make a donation to the channel for this expert information from Dr. Dix, because he has a business background and he has the technology background as well. If you don't watch Erica's channel, I would encourage you to take a look at Erica's channel for their discussions. They're very, very powerful discussions every week. If you want to make a donation to the channel, that information is there. My Cash App and PayPal are there. I'm going to read through some of these comments, Dr. Dixon, then I'll ask you about how you already mentioned some of it, about how some individuals can kind of survive and advance and adapt. Okay. Miss KP Bailey says useless people. Yeah, it's kind of staggering to hear that. Useless people. So let's see, we have a little laughy face here from T. Riddler. Salchi says, those of us with above average IQs and ambition will thrive. Chaos says, simple. They warehouse them, also known as jail. Okay. Doug says, we are about to go on a wild ride as this country competes against China for technology. It is projected that 90% of jobs will be eliminated by 2030. Wow. UBI.
Yeah. And one field we try to send people into that I've been talking about, and people can argue with me, is cybersecurity. They already have artificial intelligence and machine learning. They're not about to pay people $180,000 to do penetration testing. Sorry to bust everybody's bubble. You can Google that. Machine learning and artificial intelligence. That is a field that's already overpopulated. And I want people to realize you have to think what's going to be popular in the next couple of years. I teach a class. Oh, that's the other thing. I've been teaching school part-time since 2014. I've taught over 35,000 students. You could Google my name and see all the schools, some of the schools I teach for. So I teach database design all over that, like Kennesaw State in Georgia. I taught a class for Syracuse, Pepperdine, Tulane, a bunch of schools, graduate, undergrads. So when it comes to like the education part of it, I'm very knowledgeable in that because I'm teaching it. And I already see our counterparts are coming over on F1 visas. So what I've told people too about the education part is some of the schools will fly me out to Detroit or to Phoenix. If the students are here on the F1 visa, they're sponsored by a company. These students already have undergrad software engineering degrees, and they're working for Amazon and they're working for other companies. So they're here getting graduate degrees. I have to sit with them for 8 hours on a Saturday so they have an in-person class to meet their visa requirements. And these people are coming in by the drove. So to the regular Americans over here, and especially into some of our communities, this is very serious. These people are proficient. They already know the language. They already live in Chicago, LA, Atlanta. They're already here. And I want people to really wake up. You're hearing this straight from the horse's mouth. You can't compete with these people. They already have jobs and they outwork us 10 to 1. So on the education front, I saw a question where I think Ms. KP Bailey was talking about the traditional school curriculum. Yes, and I've said this to deans and everybody. The school curriculum is very crappy. Most of the things they're sending kids to school for is very useless. Very useless. Educate your kids yourself to have a work ethic and to know right from wrong. They're sending kids now to school for degrees they can't even use in the next 2 to 3 years. So you have some of these kids that go spend $70,000 to say, I graduated from Wake Forest or UNC, but you're broke. That liberal arts degree does not matter out here. And these people end up being Bartistas, and they're real grumpy with the world. People don't really want to work hard. They want you to do it for them and give them everything else. So yes, that's a little rant. And that's, I'll stop right there on it. But yeah, the curriculum is very, very outdated.
Okay, Dr. Dix, it sounds like, and I want to be mindful of your time. We're right at an hour.
Okay.
It sounds like that's another, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, that's another leg of this immigration discussion.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we're also focused on the southwestern border, and I'm sure some of those people who are coming over, they're either already knowledgeable in these fields or their kids will become knowledgeable in these fields. But it sounds like there are other folks coming from other parts of the world too.
Yeah,
who
exactly.
are already trained up.
Yep, they're already here.
Okay. So this last question, and I'll take a look at the chat. Thank you, Kareem Austin, for the generous Cash App. Much appreciated. Anyone else, if you want to donate, that information is there. Dr. Dix has given us some really, really good information here, and some really, really good things to think about for ourselves and for those close to us. So, preparing for this, so you suggested that even folks in the white collar fields, lawyers, accountants, white collar workers, even they're not going to be buffered from any of this.
Nobody. My friend is a lawyer, and we were talking about it. Using automation and AI with the legal system. Pretty much many of the white collar jobs can be automated. Basically, you can use analysis to figure it out. Basically, we need people to be subject matter experts, but the actual software, it can really generate the not questions. It could generate the outcomes for us. I mean, look at the NFL. They're using AI to help them to predict when somebody will get injured. Before, they used to have a medical doctor. Now they're like, okay, what's the rationale, or what's the reoccurring injury that he'll have? Look at the AWS, and everybody looks at the Amazon stuff, the commercials. Yes, it's that serious. Nobody will unscathed. Nobody will go past this unscathed. There are some things in the blue collar field that can automate, but it's very few. I mean, truck drivers, they have the trucks. They're still working on perfecting it, but like the real tedious things, like in a lot of the blue collar fields, it's hard to automate a lot of that stuff. And I see.
I want to get to Ray Alexander has entered the building, so I'm going to get to his question. But I'm just thinking for government workers who are writing regulations and interpreting policies and making regulatory decisions. I mean, will computers, will artificial intelligence and automation eventually, will the government eventually be able to replace its workers?
Some of them, but not all of them. We have compliance measures, but
okay.
one of the things Erica and I always talk about is human resources. Human resources is going to be a thing of the past. We don't really, a company doesn't need human resources. A lot of the schools I apply to, I use Paycom. I do my own HR stuff, I upload my own documents. Your paycheck and your hours are done by a system to see as an adjunct what I'm paid. So we don't need people. I don't know why people still go major in human resources. It's a field. I could just write something right now and show them how a company could get rid of them. They'll say compliance, but we'll have a check switch in the program to say when a new compliance comes out, tell the system to go through that piece of code, bam, send a generated email to 5,000 people, send a batch, 1,000 every night, bam, make sure they click on it, send it back to it to make sure they comply. I don't need somebody to do that. We can have everything pushed from servers and, you use cloud computing. Or I could have somebody sitting at their house in Maine or South Carolina doing the same stuff. We really don't need that. And somebody will say onboarding. You can have one person onboard 50 people at one time. We don't need all those people in HR. That's a dying field. Sorry to tell people. Payroll is a dying field. Most people now are paid, 90% of people are paid through ACH, which is your bank draft. Very paper checks are still handed out to some people, but a lot of things are just dying out. It's going away. There's no other way to say it.
Okay. Aquateki, thank you for the generous Cash App. Much appreciated. I always appreciate the support. Okay, so let's get to Ray Alexander's question here. And he says, Dr. Dunbar, could you ask Dr. Dix about the hierarchy within IT? That limiting oneself to a certification won't result in income/career options as completing an engineering or computer systems degree. Yeah, so Ray likes this certification versus a degree or both. And I think I might have heard you and Erica talking about this, but talk to us about certifications and degrees.
You need both. Our community, gonna say this, please, you're not gonna cheat the game of life. You're not going to cheat the game of life. You're not going to cheat the game of life. You cannot argue with me and say, well, the certs get me higher than a degree. As a matter of fact, a bachelor's degree is about to be a high school diploma. Many job descriptions coming out in the next couple of years are going to require a master's degree. And some people are going to be very upset and say, why are they requiring a master's degree? I want you, if you're one of those people, to think about, well, I have a bachelor's. You had time to get a master's degree, but you thought, oh, I could get by just with this. You're not going to have that kind of time to make up in the future. If you only have a bachelor's degree, you need to try to go ahead and get a graduate degree right now. Somebody will say, well, while getting more debt, well, you go buy $70,000 Audis, you go take trips overseas. You better learn to invest in yourself because a company will cut you off faster than anything in this world. And if you cannot stand on your own 2 feet, you are going to be doomed. You can get out here and listen to other folks, all these certs. There is no quick way to the top of a mountain. Mount Everest, there is no elevator or no helicopter. You climb Mount Everest, you climb back down. You are not going to cheat the game of life. People, please stop trying to do it. Our community, the Black community, yes, I said it. I said this on Erica's channel. You got to stop with that mindset. You must have both. There is no other way to get around it. You can listen to your cousin and friend them. Oh, and as a matter of fact, many of the people having certifications I've talked to are having a hard time finding jobs. You're not going to say, well, I got a high school diploma and 15 certs. Where's your bachelor's degree? Yes, you need a degree. It shows you can finish something, but you're going to have both of these things. How are you going to compete with the rest of the world? Please, somebody answer that question for me.
Okay. And so for the layperson, the degree, well, that's a degree. That's a 4-year.
Yeah. You can start off at a 2-year school.
University. But the certification, that's a training in a specific specialization. Yes.
Yes, you could have the 2-year degree and have the cert, and then say, I'm gonna work a little bit with the cert and get the 4-year degree. Companies will pay for it, but the thing is, people, you got to have both the experience and the degree. I would not be where I'm at today now if I didn't have the degree. And people say you in debt. Many people are in debt for cars and got foreclosures and repos on their credit, and you're still making $40,000 a year. You know, that's a whole conversation. I'm gonna go deeper in that on Erica's channel tomorrow night, since that'll be my last time on there for the year. But yeah, that's a very soft area for me when people try to, you know, not the person that asked the question, but we have to argue with people about that.
Okay, I'm going to read this comment, and then again, I don't want to. If you have to run off somewhere, I don't want to hold you too long. This is interesting. T. Riddler says low-level legal research can be replaced by AI, but actual legal representation and advising / strategy is not going anywhere.
Well, I'm not a lawyer, but if I've had actual lawyers afraid of it, I don't think that's an actual secure statement, because the lawyers even told me that they're afraid of this. Yes, you may have one person represent somebody in court, but just think about if you have a traffic citation, they'll just say, hey, what does the system generate should be your sentence? There you go. It could be half and half, but I'm not a lawyer, but I've had lawyers I talked to get very nervous. One talked to me last night about it and said, I'm nervous. I thought about this.
Okay. So my last question. So it sounds like all the I'm about halfway through my my federal career right now, but for individuals, younger individuals, it sounds like the white collar folks are going to have to think about ways to keep themselves useful and relevant. How about and maybe we could talk about that in depth another time, if there's even a way to do that. But for the individuals and the technologies, where if we're talking to young people, if I'm talking to a young person in my family or my circle, what kinds of things do you think I should be saying? Get certified in, or get training in cybersecurity, get certified in the programming languages for automation, the robotics for automation. What would you recommend?
One thing I would tell folks to look into the USDA agriculture. We're having food crisis. We're having a food crisis. Agribusiness is a field people don't look in. I can't get my words out. Agribusiness is a big field. Food, the United States Department of Agriculture. People can look into food, the EPA. We still have to be able to test stuff. You can get certs in cybersecurity, but always remember you're going to need the other experience. Programming, they have AI that can do programming right now. So you're competing against technology with that. Blue collar is pretty safe right now. That's one of the things I will push people to go to. If you don't like working with your hands, you have to figure out to work with your hands. The days of just putting slacks on, going to work smelling like good cologne, those days are over. You're gonna have to get down and dirty. I've had to do it, and I don't mind going back to do it if I had to, but you're not going to be able to work a posh job anymore. You know, that goes for everybody. Having the kids with common sense and great technical and analytical skills, those will be lifesavers. Great technical and analytical skills and learning how to reason. And don't let people go to school for Bachelor of Arts degrees, because somebody will say, well, I got a Bachelor of Arts in IT. No, you need a Bachelor of Science. You have all the sciences. That's another way of trying to cheat the game. You're not going to cheat the game. If you're going to go to school and be there for 4 to 5 years, why not just get the full computer science, computer engineering? Don't try to cheat the game. You are not going to cheat the game, people. And that's what I see happening. And you'll see it too. Many people are cheating the game, and now it's catching up with them, and now they're mad. So and just don't lie to your kids about how life is. It's like Santa Claus. Please, we got to stop lying to the world about Santa Claus. You got to stop lying to your kids about how real life is. It is real, regardless of gender, sexual orientation. Everybody is feeling life right now. Yeah.
Okay. And when you say cheating the game, you mean going to get a degree that a Bachelor of Arts degree, a liberal arts degree,
Yep.
something,
Yep. Don't do
something
it.
in the
Just go.
humanities,
Just do
something.
the whole. Yep. Just do the Bachelor of Science. Yes, we need mental health people. We need people to help out with counsel people, but we also have to remember many of those people now took the easy way out. And the thing is, they're paying for it now. You can't cheat the game. That's
Okay.
just the way it's going. Family members, and you and I know people. You cannot cheat the game of life. You won't.
Okay, I've got one more. So I know that there are I know medicine. I know
Mhm.
there in certain, for example, in surgical floors, there are robotics now where doctors can, kind of sit there and look at the patient, move the robotics around so
Mhm.
they can do the thing. I mean, are we going to lose the need for surgeons and
Mhm.
healthcare professionals?
My friend is a gynecologist, and she used the Da Vinci machine to do her hysterectomies. Since you're in pharmacology, I don't know if you saw to where since there's a shortage of pharmacists in the United States, they're having now where pharmacists can work remotely. And what's going to happen in these small towns? You're either going to have to get mail order prescriptions, or they're just going to have that pharmacy for like your oh crap, your the ones you got to have ID for, like the Tylenol 3, the the Schedule 3 narcotics, like for pain and stuff. So you're only going to have really a pharmacy for that, because you got to show ID for it, for like the drug stuff. But yeah, there's a shortage of pharmacists, so they're working towards that. You got to think about with with medical assistants, they have patient portals. You can check yourself in now. They're making telemedicine to where you could do your checkup from home. My friend is the doctor, was doing all her checkups sitting at her house. If they don't have to check vital signs, if they like did a surgery. So yeah, they're going to make it to where if they see you in person, it's for preparation for surgery or something else. But most of the appointments, if it's just a checkup, they can do it remotely. So that's how it's impacting the medical world. Yeah, controlled substances. Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah. Yeah. So it's impacting every facet of life.
Okay. Well, Dr. Dix, we're at 1 hour and 17 minutes. I mean, I'm sure I
Okay.
could think of more questions the chat could, but I want to respect your time. So thank you.
Oh, you're more than welcome.
And I mean, I learned so much. I'd like to do this again. My door is always open. Hopefully, we can do this again. Do you have anything you want to say as we close this one down?
If you're listening or going to listen to the restream, I am on Instagram. My name is King of Automation. You can find me on LinkedIn at Dr. Patrick Dix, and I have a YouTube channel, Dr. Patrick Dix. And tomorrow night I'll be on the channel with Erica. Since it's the last Tuesday of the year, so her and I will finish it out. And be sure to catch me tomorrow night with Erica Williams on the Classic Climb.
Okay. Well, Dr. Dix, I'm going to go ahead and shut this one down. I'm going to go over some of the comments here, but we'll be in touch.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you again.
Okay.
All right. I'm going to read some of your comments here, and then I'm going to wrap up. Please hit the like button. Sir Anthony says we're competing against technology. Forget competing against other humans. Salty says I robot. I pray they don't automate judges. Well, according to Engineering Cannabis, it depends on what inputs you give the AI. So if you're giving it biased AI, if you're giving it biased data, the AI is going to make biased decisions. Chat GPT is coming. I'm not sure what that is. Sir Anthony says, Doug, I can't argue against that, but it's the defeatist mindset that I want to counter. I don't want Black men to throw their hands up thinking that all is hopeless, compete nonetheless. I'm about to get into aquaculture for farming, macroalgae, and seaweeds. Okay. I wouldn't mind talking to you about that at some point, Doug. T. Riddler says, I'm in the industry. We will use AI to take the place of paralegals we hire to do legal/policy research. So this will remove a lot of entry level and admin level legal jobs. Doug says, also insect farming for alternative protein sources. Professor Black Ops says, Aquatechie, the system is biased, trying to figure out AI to make it more balanced. Okay, agreed. There's still no workaround to actual legal counsel in and out of the courtroom, etc. Courtroom. Okay, Cass is greeting everyone. Aquatechie says, how do you account for the biases in the AI's developers? That's very engineering cannabis-esque. Salchi says, okay, I stated for 10 years, it doesn't make sense to acquire debt for a college degree, just earn less than 100K per year. Or does that mean just to, yeah, okay, to go into debt to earn less than 100K per year? Controlled substances, any show tonight, Professor Black Ops. The World Economic Forum is a great source of information for what is about to come. Thank you, Doug. Reality Alexander says, I agree, Black men should not seek shortcuts, but build solid foundations for long-term financial stability. Thank you, Dr. Dunbar, Dr. Dix. Thank you, Sir Anthony. Thank you so much. Thank you, Miss KP Bailey, for stopping through. Salute. Okay. There's Dr. Patrick Dix's channel. I'm going to subscribe to that. I only know him from watching Erica's channel, but I'm going to subscribe to his channel. Let's see. And then Ray says, people, this is to Salchi, people don't have to go into debt to get a degree. They can pay as they go to public colleges. In addition, companies pay for degrees as an employment benefit. Yeah. Well, a lot of people are going into debt or have gone into debt, Ray. I don't know the particulars of, well, I won't speculate on that. Let me wrap this up. Thank you to Dr. Dix for coming and doing this Q&A. I've learned a lot from this. This is a lot for me to think about, just as it is a lot for you all to think about. Please like, share, and subscribe if you're new. If you're watching this on the playback and you want to make a donation to the channel, my Cash App and PayPal are below in the description box. Thank you to those of you who donated. Thank you to those of you who signed up for my newsletter. In addition to being a YouTube content creator, I'm also a writer. There's a 2-paragraph greeting there, and the subscription button is there at the bottom. You just enter in your email address and you're in. I won't give your information away to a third party. Thank you to those of you who already signed up. The link is here. And I don't know if I left the link to the McDonald's article in the description box, but I'll leave it underneath the playback in case any of you want to look at it. And also, I'm going to go ahead and read this article Dr. Dix discussed about the rise of the useless class of people. And I may present that at some point here or on my original channel, but that's certainly an important piece to read. Salchi, thank you very much. Appreciate that. Appreciate that. Appreciate the support over here. This stuff doesn't resonate with everybody, but this is important stuff to know. The sciences and the technologies, and wow, there are a lot of people who don't see this stuff coming right now. So a lot of people are going to be blown over by this. We know that it's coming, and I think part of the trick will be to um, adapt to the new environment. But there are a lot of people who don't know that this is coming. So Salty shared the link here. Let me see if I can. Yep. Uh, Here is the article right here. Salty, thank you for sharing that. It's there in the chat, everyone. There it is. The rise of the useless class. So I'm going to say one other thing here. I don't know. Doug says this topic needs to be taken seriously. What's about to happen over this decade will have some serious ramifications. Yeah, I mean, all these things, it seems to me, all these things are just kind of, they're just going together. The population decline, the decreased birth rates, the automation, the immigration, all these things are going together. And it's important to keep an eye on what the government's doing and how the powers that be are responding to all of this and how they're planning for this. While we're looking over here, what's happening over here? There's a gentleman who Erica had on named Diamond Dave, and as I was driving up to the Albany area last Saturday, he presented an article. Now, this is going to sound a little morbid as well, but Diamond Dave presented an article saying that in Canada, they are encouraging some people to go away, if you know what I mean, because there's no more money to pay for them. So I don't know if we'll see something like that here, but there are a lot of things unfolding that we haven't seen before. All right, everyone, let me shut this down. This is my second stream today, and yeah, Salchi, anyone, if you haven't, look up Diamond Dave. He's been on Erica's show as well. T Riddler, exactly. If there's no things are getting dire in some of these countries, ours too, and if there's no money to pay for people to live or to survive or for their health care, then there's one nuclear option for everybody. So I'm going to shut this down. This was my second stream for today, and I will talk to you all the next time. As always, remember that your attitude determines your altitude. Always do your best, and take care, and I'll talk to you the next time. Bye-bye.